an adult psychiatrist and bioethicist with advanced training in theology, psycho-oncology, and formation, a graduate of the Pontifical University of the Holy Cross and the University of Santo Tomas. She integrates science, philosophy, and faith in her clinical practice, teaching and research focusing on telepsychiatry, cancer care, and end-of-life support. So she also mentors young mental health professionals and advocates holistic formation for youth and family through Kalinangan Youth Foundation and EduChild Philippines. So help us, brothers and sisters, to welcome our lay theologian, psychiatrist, and doctor of medicine, our speaker for this morning,
Dr. Kathryn Daphne Ong.
Magandang umaga po sa inyong lahat. Okay, thank you for being here. I'm happy to see your beautiful smiles. Gising po ba tayo ngayong umaga? Gising, nagising. Okay. As a psychiatrist, I am trained to promote antidepressants. Antidepressants. Gusto niyo po bang malaman kung ano ang pinakamura na antidepressant available in the market? Okay. Mura, accessible, at kayang-kaya. Abot kaya nating lahat. Okay. The cheapest antidepressant available is gratitude. Okay, gratitude. At ako po, I practice what I preach. Every day, I make a gratitude log, making sure I'm free from depression. Every day, I log things that I'm grateful for. And today, I can tell you, I already have in mind what I will log for today. And this is my deep gratitude for seeing all of you here this morning. It's a Saturday morning, masarap matulog, masarap magpahinga pagkatapos ng isang linggo ng trabaho. And yet you're here. It's an honor to be here. It's an honor to see you, and I am deeply moved and inspired by your dedication to champion family and life. Pwede po ba nating palakpakan ng isa't isa? Salamat po. At ngayon po, iimbitahan ko kayong kunin ang inyong telepono. I'm sure everybody has a cell phone. And to raise it, this is our attendance for today. I need to know if you are digital users because the talk for this morning is precisely about that, right? Digital world, digital use. Naaalala ko pa po, nung unang-unang nagkaroon ako ng cellphone, nung unang panahon may bayad pa yung text. Naabutan niyo pa ba yun? Magkano ang isang text message? Piso. Okay, may bayad ang text. We're happy because now text messaging is free, right? May mga unli text, may mga free messaging care of free Wi-Fi. So mukhang wala nang bayad ang pagme-message at paggagamit ng cellphone. Pero sa totoo lang, meron pa rin pong bayad. Meron pa rin tayong pinagagastuhan at meron pa rin nauubos. Kung dati piso, ngayon ang binabayad natin ay pisko at pismo. Pisko at pismo. Do you agree that digital use, cellphone use can affect our sense of peace? Yes. So this morning, what we hope to do is to together explore how we can reclaim peace and to know the pastoral approach to digital overload and mental strain. Sa mga susunod po na minuto, pag-uusapan natin ang tatlong konsepto ng digital technologies, mental health, Catholic faith. Dito po iikot ang ating kwentuhan. How each one affects the other. Okay. We know that we need mental health for almost everything. We need good mental health to be able to study well, work well, have good relationships, pray well, to serve, to love, to live our Catholic faith. Mental health, mental wellness helps a lot. And this mental health is affected by multiple factors. And one of them is, as you see in the encircled circle, spirituality. The World Health Organization itself has declared that spiritual factors contribute to mental health. Do you agree na may kinalaman, may saysay ang spirituality sa mental health? Yes, scientific studies show that a strong sense of spirituality is actually protective when it comes to mental health, and it helps increase resilience. So spirituality can help boost mental wellness, and we know the relationship. Good mental health helps one live the Catholic faith well. Catholic faith helps in mental wellness, and the digital technologies have the great power to influence both. So ito po ang pag-uusapan natin ngayong umaga. Multiple research studies show that bedtime swiping compromises sleep. Do you agree? Agree. The use of some digital technologies can reduce our ability to sustain attention. Do you agree? And it can change our memory processes. Digital use. And since our digital companions are always there to help us escape life's difficulties, napansin din po ng mga nag-aaral ng mental health at digital use na kung ang bawat isang tao po ay may container for emotions, kanya-kanya tayo may container. Yung iba, maliit ang container, yung iba, malaki ang container. With the advent of digital use where everything seems so easy, so fast, everything can be reached on demand, napapansin po na lumiliit ang container, lumiliit yung capacity natin for problem solving, for delayed gratification, and for tolerating difficult emotions and difficult circumstances. That's the reason why people easily break, easily snap, madaling pumuputok at sumasabog sa panahon na ito. Since we're constantly stimulated and we crave for stimulation, more and more people find it hard to be reflective. People find it hard to think deeply and to live what we call mindfulness. It's so hard now to be discerning more than before. And we know that social media sites may trigger body image distress, especially given the culture of comparison, given the culture of perfectionism. The sites can trigger body image distress, and also it may trigger disconnection distress, or what we call the fear of missing out. There's evidence too that the internet influences the offline personality of its users. More and more, we see people developing more tendencies for narcissism, grandiosity, and even impulsive behavior. And digital use has a lot to do with that. Repeated exposure to problematic behaviors could normalize them for some. Ito po ay medyo nakakabahala. Nowadays, 2 out of 10 teenagers engage in self-harm practices. Dahil nga ang mga kabataan natin ngayon, medyo mas maliit na ang kanilang emotional container dahil na rin sa mabilis na buhay and poor frustration tolerance. The moment they're unable to control or contain that emotion, they find an easy way out. And an easy way out is this: converting one's emotional pain into easy to control physical pain. Okay, this is the reason behind the predominant practice now of self-harm, just to control one's emotion and to control one's mood. Studies show that constant exposure to distressing news, such as deaths, wars, bad news, hate speech, can actually cause panic-like symptoms. And the social persuasion effect of social media may have dangerous effects. Ito po yung copy phenomenon, imitation phenomenon. This can be very dangerous, especially if we're talking about the phenomenon of suicide. People who are trying or who are attempting suicide may influence others who are at high risk for getting into the same behavior. And we know that the rates currently are alarming. Globally, we have 720,000 people committing suicide every day, in 1 year. That means 1 in 40 seconds. Imagine, 1 in 40 seconds, we have one dying from suicide. And what's more alarming is that for every 1 person dying of suicide, you have 20 other people attempting. Okay? It is alarming. I'm sure you agree. Now, we also know that with the digital world now, with the perceived anonymity, kasi wala namang nakakakilala sa'yo, hindi naman alam ang tunay mong identity. Users find it easier to explore spaces which probably they wouldn't explore in an offline setting. Mas mapusok, mas risky. And this also affects the concept of boundaries. So the lack of face-to-face cue, the anonymity, makes people disinhibited. No? They say online bullying tends to be more severe than offline bullying. Kasi nga naman, hindi mo naman nakikita yung tao face-to-face, and you're anonymous, you can easily hide behind the digital wall. So online disinhibition is also something that happens. And for us psychiatrists, one of the most alarming effects of digital technologies is how they hijack the brain. They hijack the brain similar to how a drug of abuse does. Okay, I guess it's not by accident that the user of social media has the same name as the user of illegal drugs. Pareho po silang tinatawag na user. Part of being human is the experience of pleasure. This is normal human phenomenon. Okay? And that experience of pleasure is mediated by the reward pathway where dopamine is the chemical of currency. Okay? And we naturally have dopamine surges or dopamine release in that reward pathway whenever we experience natural highs, like winning a competition, or simple natural highs like good food, good conversation, good exercise, good company of people, like what we have now. No? Good experiences can help stimulate that natural high and cause release of the pleasure chemical called dopamine. The thing is, in human beings, since we're not dominated by pleasure alone, delikado yun kung pleasure alone lang. Thanks be to God, we have a higher control system, and we call this the prefrontal cortex, that allows us to decide and to direct our lives not based on pleasure alone or the avoidance of pain alone, but based on higher pursuits, higher values, or higher goods. Ito po yung nakikita natin na blue arrow. The prefrontal cortex, the higher part of the brain, controls the lower portion or controls the reward pathway and the emotional part of the brain. This is normal functioning. Now, neuroscientists have seen that pleasurable experiences online, like the likes you get on Facebook, on Instagram, the hearts that you get, the smiling faces that you see on social media, can actually stimulate dopamine release. It's rewarding. Do you agree? We feel pleasure seeing that people like our post. We feel pleasure seeing that many have seen our posts, right? And that's natural, that's very human, because as human beings, we value and we need validation. We need acknowledgement. That's very healthy and natural. So every text message, every notification has a potential to trigger that dopamine release. However, scientists noted too that with the dopamine release that we get from social media use, if this is happening frequently, too often, at very intensive rates, the pattern seems to be similar as the dopamine release in drugs of abuse. That dopamine is released in a very explosive pattern, such that the reward is so high, and this has the major implication that people lose their interest in getting the pleasurable feeling from other activities. Kasi nga naman, mas intense yung high sa drugs, mas intense yung high sa digital media use, problematic digital media use, then why do we have to go through the difficult natural highs, right? So this is what's happening with such type of use. Now, the problem is how it affects the brain. Dahil dito, kapag wala yung behavior, kapag wala yung gadget that causes that intensive high, may nararamdaman yung katawan. Anong nangyayari pag nawawala ang drugs or ang effect ng alcohol? Nagkakaroon ng withdrawal. No? Same thing with problematic gadget use. When the online shopping app is not there, when the person is not on social media, parang restless, parang balisa, parang aligaga, parang hindi kinakaya yung boredom. So this is what we call a problematic use already. There's addiction with gadget use, such that now the person develops withdrawal and cravings. Hinahanap-hanap na ng katawan. Minsan hindi na naiisip. It's reflex that once you see your phone, you get your phone, and then you just swipe and swipe mindlessly. And this is problematic. Because the regulation of the reward system gets impaired. Naalala niyo po yung blue arrows kanina from top to bottom, the normal control in a normal human brain, that gets dysfunctional. The control circle gets smaller in an addicted brain. Okay, such that even if you know that online shopping is not helping you anymore, and it's best for your life, it's best for you to stop or to control it, due to the lack of control, due to that impairment in the brain, instead of controlling your shopping, add to cart, and purchase. That's what happens in an addicted brain. The control is weak, and the drive to follow the rewarding experience becomes very, very strong. Digital technologies don't only negatively affect our psychological life, but it also affects our spiritual life. With extreme external and internal noise from digital technologies, many are unable to benefit or to enjoy the benefits of silence, the encounter, wonder, and kneeling before God. So this is alarming because distraction from excessive noise from our gadgets, this distraction keeps us from contemplation and the very important concept of presence. Okay, presence. At the same time, it keeps us from sensing God's presence, or it keeps us from being present to God and to others. Okay? That distraction takes away presence. As Cardinal Sarah puts it, if our interior cell phone is always busy because we are having a conversation with other creatures through our gadgets, how can the Creator reach us? How can God call us? So definitely it does affect our relationship with God, our spiritual health. And the detrimental effects are also seen here. This unit that is very close to our heart, the domestic church, the family. Digital technologies may cause erosion of presence in family life. So technology use in the presence of others, medyo nakarelate sila doon, no? Technology use in the presence of others reduces rapport, empathy, depth of conversation, depth of bonding. Do you agree? Yes. Okay. And this has an impact. Grabe, no? And this is an AI-generated image. I haven't seen yet something like that in person. But this may happen, right? Okay. And this way of using digital technologies can impact the essential fabric of family communion. Okay? The essential fabric of family communion. Okay. Break muna tayo. Okay. After hearing all these, parang madaling magpanic, no? Ayoko na. Tatanggalan ko na ng cellphone yung anak ko. I remember a doctor friend of mine, a pediatrician. So one day, she told me that she was getting concerned about the gadget use, the computer use of her teenage son. So kinukwento niya sa akin na minsan umuwi yung anak niya, mababa ang grade. No? Mababa ang grade sa exam. At syempre, si mommy, galit na galit, sabi, ayan kasi, kaka-computer mo yan. No? Kaka-computer mo yan. Another day, the son went to her because he was having a hard time sleeping. Hirap matulog, pumunta kay mommy, and my doctor friend, the mommy said, ayan kasi, kaka-computer mo yan. Another day, the son went to her because he was having blurred vision and to the point that they needed to go to the ophthalmologist. And of course, you can imagine mommy saying, ayan kasi, kaka-computer mo yan. Okay. But for me, the most amusing was one day when this son had a severe abdominal pain, vomiting, and then he went to mommy, and mommy, a pediatrician, no? Imagine, one who is an expert in medical conditions of teenagers, again made the reply, ayan kasi, kaka-computer mo yan. Okay? This is an amusing anecdote, but I just want to show here that we can fall into the same hasty generalization, right? We can have a totally negative view of digital technologies and blame it for all the misfortunes that we see. Mental health problems, kasi kaka-cellphone, kasi kaka-Instagram, etc., etc. But let's not forget that even scientific studies show that these digital technologies are not 100% evil. If they're 100% evil, you wouldn't have those cell phones that you have now with you. They have positive effects. They definitely benefit us. Next slide, please. We have evidence how digital use can positively impact these elements of mental health. Okay, they can positively impact the biological factors that boost mental health, the social factors that boost mental health, even the psychological and the spiritual factors, as we see in the next slides. First of all, boosting health. Now we have many apps for exercise, diet, good sleep, meditation, free apps even that are very accessible to everyone. Digital use can help improve physical health. Next slide. Digital use can also help improve social connection. Lalong-lalo na po sa panahon ngayon, kakatapos lang natin ng COVID, di ho ba? We all experienced COVID and we're happy that we survived the pandemic. But actually, it is not known to many that we continue to have a pandemic. And this is a silent pandemic that is pretty dangerous. This is the pandemic of loneliness. Pandemic of loneliness. We're just so thankful that God created our body to have alarm systems, signal systems. For instance, when we are hungry, what is the signal that the body releases to tell us that we are in need of food? When we are lacking in food, what is the signal that the body tells us? Okay, hunger, right? When we lack water, what is the signal that the body produces? Thirst. When we lack air, the basic need for air, what is the signal that the body does? We become breathless, no? To get air. But when we lack the basic need for high-quality human connection, there's also a signal. Okay? When we lack high-quality human connection, the body also releases a signal to alarm us. And that signal is loneliness. Loneliness. Okay? So maganda ba yung loneliness? As a signal, yes, right? Just like hunger leads you to eat and thirst leads you to drink. But what happens in our contemporary world now, when people are lonely, what do they do? What do they usually do when they're lonely? Some, unfortunately, right, take their lives. Some get into isolation, right? Nagtatago sa kwarto. Netflix every day. Digital use every day. Okay? Instead of listening to that signal and allowing that signal to move us to satisfy that need for high-quality human connection, we don't do we don't do such, okay, unfortunately. We're thankful that digital technologies can help ease loneliness in a way because it helps us connect with people. Of course, next slide please. Of course, online friendships will never fully compensate or will never fully replace face-to-face, on-site interactions or offline friendships. But still, we know they can provide the much-needed support because it allows people to express themselves. It also satisfies the basic need for belongingness, the basic need to belong to a group. This is also the reason why online support groups can be very helpful. With new technologies, mental health information and resources are now available. We're so happy as mental health practitioners that now more and more people are able to detect whenever they have mental health challenge, and they are able to help themselves through the digital technologies. And it's faster for us to detect and help treat the mental health illnesses. I don't know if you ever wondered what people will see if they ask Google how to commit suicide. Naisip niyo ho ba yun? Ako naisip ko yun one day. Kasi natakot ako para sa mga pasyente kong depressed, no, and suicidal. Naisip ko, nako, dahil lahat sila may phone at lahat sila pwedeng mag-Google, ano na lang mangyayari pag ginoogle nila how to commit suicide? So I tried it myself. One day, I typed how to commit suicide, and to my surprise, this is what I got from Google. Help is available. Beautiful, right? Digital technologies can save lives, and they actually have saved many lives. We know of stories of people who, as they were getting depressed and they were posting messages on Facebook, on social media, their friends were able to detect the need, address the need, and help save their lives. And it's funny because in the hours and days following this Google search, for some weird reason, I don't know why, my smartwatch was sending me notifications asking me, how are you? How's your mood today? No? Probably checking if I was still alive. Okay. Since I typed how to commit suicide. So we have seen how digital technologies are instrumental in promoting mental health, but we also know it's instrumental in promoting spiritual health. Digital technologies can be used, we know this, for faith promotion and evangelization. At this time, I think we're live on Facebook or somewhere there. Imagine the reach that we're able to do thanks to digital technologies. Okay. One example is that of cyber apostle Saint Carlo Acutis, who made use of digital technologies to promote devotion and love for the Holy Eucharist. So we can really take advantage of this power. So I'd like to think of digital technologies as similar to driving. Okay. Driving carries several risks. Pwede kang mabangga, pwede kang banggain, pwede kang masiraan, no? Pwede kang mamatay. But we know that the risks, or our knowledge of these risks, doesn't keep us from enjoying the benefits of driving. Okay? We don't allow these risks to keep us from enjoying how driving can improve and help our lives. What's important in driving, and similarly with digital use, is navigation. Just as we need to be skilled in navigating the world, we likewise need to be skilled in navigating the World Wide Web, especially nowadays. Hindi na po natin ito maiiwasan. This is our reality. We are digital. We're not only citizens of the Philippines, but we're citizens of the digital world. And being citizens of the digital world have many consequences, implications. They affect us, they change us, either for the better or for worse. So how do we navigate? Okay. It's important that we take advantage of power. Knowledge is power. We start with self-knowledge. First of all, I advise that we check our mental health status. Know your mental health status. What does this mean? Are you mentally healthy? At this time, are you in a state of well-being where you are able to realize your own abilities? You are able to cope with the normal stresses of life. You can work productively and you're able to make a contribution to your community. If yes, then congratulations, you're mentally healthy. So why are we asking about mental health when we talk about technology and the risks of technology? Studies show that people with mental health challenges are at a greater risk for the negative effects of technology. If you say no to the previous question, parang hindi ako masyadong mentally healthy. It's good to ask ourselves, in that case, do we have symptoms of depression? Or do we have symptoms of anxiety? Kadalasan pag pinapakita ko po ang picture na ito, symptoms of anxiety, ang mga tanong sa akin, lalo na ng mga nanay, Dok, hindi po ba yan normal na nanay? Sa dami-dami ng kailangang isipin araw-araw, maari naman talagang nararamdaman natin to on a normal day-to-day, right? With the stress around us nowadays. But how do we know that it's already pathological or it needs mental help, mental professional attention? It doesn't suffice that we have symptoms. The symptoms need to be there in a prolonged period of time, like 2 weeks for depression or 6 months for anxiety. And most importantly, the symptoms should be impairing our functioning. Meaning, hindi na tayo function ng normal sa ating trabaho o sa ating relationships. Okay? You're not able to function or carry out your function well as a wife, as a husband, as a mother, as a father, as a child. Okay? So if you say yes to having these symptoms, please get help. And with new technologies, mental health support is very, very accessible. Please get help and please help others to get help. Gusto ko lang pong i-emphasize na ang mental health challenges ay nagagamot, naiiwasan at naaagapan. Nagagamot, naiiwasan, naaagapan. And with mental health technologies, as I said, we can easily book an online or a teleconsult. There are many therapists available, even apps that can serve like therapists, mga chatbot na gagawan kayo ng psychotherapy. Unfortunately, however, many still are unable to get the mental health that they need, the help and support that they deserve. How come? Because stigma still exists. Okay? The lines that you see here are actual lines from patients. From patients that I saw, and these lines actually are those that they hate hearing from others, especially from their family members. The moment they hear these lines, they would clam up, they would feel unsafe to talk about what's inside their heart or the difficulties that they're going through with a mental health challenge. Nasa utak mo lang yan. Narinig nyo na ba yan? Nasa utak mo lang yan. Nasa utak naman talaga kasi nga mental illness, no? But the fact that it's in the brain doesn't mean it's not real or it's not significant. Lakasan mo lang ang loob mo. As if having a mental illness is simply a deficiency in a strong will or in grit. Totoo naman, maaring may deficiency with will or grit, but we know that mental illness is a medical condition. It's not simply something that you can power through. Kung ganun lang yun kadali, wala po tayo nung 700,000 per year na nagsusuicide. Kulang ka lang sa dasal. Talaga namang importante ang dasal, di ho ba? As I told you, a strong sense of spirituality is mentally protective, is helpful in mental health. The thing is, we have to understand that just as in any medical illness, like asthma, hypertension, kapag meron po kayong kapamilya na hinihika at hindi makahinga, hirap na hirap huminga, ano pong sinasabi natin? Hindi naman nating sasabihin, magdasal ka lang. mag-pray lang tayo, makakahinga ka na. Di ba? We provide medical help for medical conditions, same with mental health challenges like depression and anxiety. It's important to know your mental health status, but also know your vulnerabilities regarding technology. For instance, biologically, do you have family members with mental health disorders or addiction? Because this puts you at higher risk for the negative effects of technology. Or do you have psychological or social factors that put you at high risk for problematic internet use? Poor social support, inadequate stress-relieving strategies, hindi marunong magpahinga. Hindi marunong mag-pause at mag-rest. No? That's a high risk for the negative effect of digital technologies. Next slide, please. In navigating new technologies in a way that will support you, it's important to know your digital use status. How much time do you spend in front of a screen? And we're happy because our smartphones can tell us of our screen time per day, per week. So a quick way to know, kung tinatamad po kayong buksan ang screen time function ng telepono, a quick way to know if our screen time is still healthy is to ask ourselves 5 questions. Simpleng-simple lang. 5 questions. Are you eating well? Are you sleeping well? Are you physically active? Are you able to go out and meet friends and you have a healthy social life? And are you able to function well at work or your relationships? If you say yes to all 5, then congratulations. No? Probably your screen time is still healthy at this time. Okay? So 5 simple questions. But according to studies, the total amount of screen time is not as crucial as the breakdown. More than the importance of the how much, what matters more is the what do you use it for and where do you use it. Okay, the breakdown. It's good to ask ourselves, what do I spend my screen time on? What does social media use serve me? Okay? Do I use it for learning? Huh? Do I use it for relaxation? Or do I use it as my stress reliever? Okay naman yun. Okay? Wala namang masama gamitin siya as stress reliever. Do I use it as a coping mechanism? Okay, it's good if it's a coping mechanism and it helps you. The thing is, we hope that this is not your only coping mechanism, right? And the brain is very smart. If it knows that one thing works, it will just go and repeat the same thing. Kapag stress, phone. Bored, phone. Pagod, phone. So lahat na ng negative emotions, phone. In a way, it's good because the phone helps relieve the negative emotion. But there's something there that's dangerous. And what is that? The brain is not given the opportunity to look for other coping mechanisms. And that would be very unfortunate that at a certain age, that we're adults already, our coping mechanism is just only one. Use the smartphone, diba? When actually life allows us to have multiple and several coping mechanisms within our reach. Only if we give our brains the opportunity to train and to practice those coping mechanisms. Many times when I see patients, there are patients who would need medications. Not everyone with a mental health challenge will need medications, but some do. Okay, and when I tell them, I think given the severity of your condition, it would be very helpful if you start, aside from talk therapy, that you start with a medication. And they tell me, Doc, ayoko. That's the usual answer. Doc, ayoko kasi ayokong maging dependent. No? Ayokong ma-addict sa gamot. Of course, nobody wants that. Nobody wants medicines, right? Nobody wants to be dependent on any chemical. However, many people nowadays are unconsciously self-medicating with their gadgets. When they're depressed, when they're anxious, they use their phone, and there's a band-aid effect. na medyo nakakalimutan nila yung anxiety and depression. So the phone becomes the antidepressant and the anti-anxiety agent. And here you are telling me, ayoko pong maging dependent sa gamot. Ito ang ginagawang sariling panggamot. No? And we know the negative consequences. Next, it's good to know, how does technology use affect you? And how does technology use affect these aspects of mental health? How does your gadget use affect your sleep, your social functioning, your psychological mindset, no, your worldview? How does it affect your self-esteem? How does it affect your self-confidence, your coping mechanisms? And how does it affect your spiritual life? And lastly, I'd like to recommend that you know your tactics, no, your tactics. And here, as we end, I give you now practical takeaways that you can bring home with you. I have prepared 10 so that you have options of what would appeal to you and what you would want to take home. Okay. As I give you the top 10, I invite you to a quick exercise. Okay. May I ask you to raise your hands, both hands. Both hands, please. Very good. Raise your hands, both hands. And I want you to give me a thumbs up sign. Both hands, thumbs up sign. Thumbs up sign. And I want you to show your pointer finger. Okay? Listen to my instructions and do what I tell you. Follow what I tell you. Okay? Make your pointer finger touch your thumb. Okay? Very good. Make your thumb touch your ring finger. Make your thumb touch your ring finger. Okay, very good. Show your pointer finger, both pointer fingers. And make your pointer fingers both touch your forehead. Make your pointer fingers touch your forehead. And make your pointer fingers, both pointer fingers, touch your cheek. Bakit kayo tumatawa? Alam niyo yung nagkamali kayo, no? Okay. You realize the mistake. You're touching your chin, but I asked you, and remember, I said, do what I tell you. No? You're touching your chin, but I asked you to touch your cheek. And you touch your chin because you saw me touching my chin. Next slide, please. Practical takeaway number 1 is modeling. Action speaks, we know, actions speak louder than words. I need not elaborate on this, right? Modeling is very powerful. In our current day and age, what the children, what the teenagers, what the young people always say, what they want is show, don't tell. Show, don't tell. So we have this golden opportunity to influence our family members or the souls under our care, to influence them to positive digital use through our own gadget use. The way we use our gadgets, wherein we still emphasize and we still prioritize presence over phone. Okay? Number 2 is alignment. Okay, here we invite everyone to align gadget use with our core values and the type of person that we would like to be. If I were to do this exercise, I would say, okay, I would like to be true to my beautiful Christian vocation, and I would want to align my actions, my thoughts, and my phone use to that. Okay, this is what we call alignment. Or we can use guide questions to help us. No? With the way I'm using my gadget now, does this align to the type of person that I want to be? To the type of person that God calls me to be? Okay? Or do I need to modify or change some practices, okay, so that I am led to do, my gadget use would lead me to do, or to be the type of person I'd want to be. Next is intentionality. Okay, intentionality. So alignment is sustained by intentionality. And here, the practice of mindfulness is beneficial. Minsan po, yung simpleng pag-pause bago gumamit ng phone, malaking tulong na po yun. Okay. Kanina, kinuwento ko sa inyo ang cheapest antidepressant. Ano nga po yun? Gratitude. Would you like to know the cheapest anti-anxiety agent available? Okay. If the cheapest antidepressant is gratitude, the cheapest anti-anxiety agent is breathing. Okay, breathing. Libreng huminga. Okay. So mindfulness, intentionality, breathing can help. Sometimes just take slow, deep breaths, okay, to relax the mind so that the mind is not so highly emotional. Or before you start using your phone, huminto, huminga, bago gamitin ang telepono. Okay? Such that, given this mindfulness, our online engagements will be more intentional. That we feel that we are agents. That when we use our phones, we're not there simply to react, but we're actually responding. When we're not there simply using, but we're choosing. And we're choosing, whatever we click, whatever we swipe, we choose not based on how we feel, lungkot, bored, but we choose based on what we think is best for us. Okay, this is what we call intentionality. What helps? Managing your schedule when it comes to digital use. Managing your notifications. Kung kailangan i-off po ang iba't ibang notifications. Practicing what we call digital examination. When we do our examination of conscience at night, perhaps we can add this point. Na, Lord, in front of you, Lord, with my digital use today, did it help me be closer to you today? Or the reverse. Number 4, disconnect. But not simply for disconnection's sake. Disconnect to connect. Okay, disconnect to connect. Let's turn off the screen so that we can turn on the presence. Okay? Turn off the screen so that we can turn on the presence. Here we have concepts like digital Sabbath. Sometimes it's good to fast from phone use because that way also we're rewiring our brains such that boredom is not automatically linked to phone use. Okay? Next. Offline activities. So let's engage in offline pursuits that can enhance our relationships and enrich our lives. Let's provide healthy alternatives to excessive screen time. Especially for kids, it's hard to get them off the screen, right? And many times, hindi po uubra ang pagbawalan silang mag-phone or tanggalin ang phone. A good way to help them is to provide healthy and attractive offline activities. Number 6 is to savor the silence. I invite you to go for silence staycation, silence bathing, or silence therapy. So even brain imaging studies show that silence can help restore the brain. But this can also help enrich our spiritual life, right? Times of prayer, meditation, Lectio Divina, silent retreats. Let's appreciate once again silence, especially knowing that silence is not absence. Silence is presence. Okay, pwede po ba nating basahin sabay-sabay? Silence is not absence. Silence is presence. In silence, we are reminded of God's presence. In silence, we get the chance to be present to Him and to other people. Silence helps us set our priorities and core values. And number 7, takeaway number 7 is to minimize risks. And here, self-knowledge helps a lot. Kung alam nyo na madali kayong mabudol, maniwala sa fake news, then let's act accordingly. Let's not forget that the apps, the websites, especially those involved in business, are there to do what they were created to do. They're meant to hook us because they're just doing their job, right? So it's good to be wiser than the apps and than the digital technologies. Next. And to maximize the benefits for us, let's utilize social media as an outlet for creativity, as an outlet for growth. Scientists have also seen that there's a concept called emotional contagion. So nakakahawa din pala ang emotions. Hindi lang po COVID or virus ang nakakahawa. So there's such a thing as emotional contagion. So emotion that we see on social media, that we watch, can actually infect us. So we can use this to our advantage to spread good vibes in the digital world. We can follow accounts and hashtags that are inspiring and that are there to promote growth, our own growth and the growth of others. Number 9 is to promote digital literacy and citizenship. This is the world where we are in now. So it's important that we know how to navigate, right? This allows us to discern, protect ourselves from misinformation, protect ourselves from the risks. It helps us to be responsible users and to live personal integrity, such that we're more conscious and we're more aware how digital behavior affects our mental health, affects our spiritual health, how digital use can shape our behavior and relationships. And lastly, the last takeaway, and I think you will agree that this can really be very helpful, prayer and sacramental life. They're essential anchors that help us live our Christian vocation in the middle of the digital world, since they provide the necessary spiritual formation, grace, and the virtues, right? That's a strength. We need these strengths, particularly virtues like prudence, knowing how to choose well, temperance, moderating pleasure, moderating the urges, and of course, fortitude, running after the good, even if it implies effort on our part. So this morning, we saw the potential effects of digital technologies to our mental health and also to our spiritual health. And yes, we have seen many negative effects of digital use. While at the same time, we also saw positive effects, right? We saw a lot of positive effects that we can maximize, that we can take advantage of using the tools that we also have seen today. Self-knowledge, intentionality, alignment, balancing offline and online activities, and of course, reawakening once again in people the appreciation for silence. Again, I repeat, silence is not absence. Silence is presence. Okay? By promoting silence, we can sense more the presence of God and be more present to God and be present to our families and to other people. This way, we reclaim peace. We reclaim peace while we continue, all of us, while we continue with our noble pursuit of accompanying families, while we continue in our noble pursuit of championing family and life in this current digital age. Maraming salamat po, and I hope you find this helpful.